Welcome to the Blues News at 10, our top headlines. It's been confirmed that July was the driest month on record when temperatures saw wildfires breaking out across the UK and across Europe. We'll have more with a weather presenter and have a special report. Also on the pick on tonight. 7 killed after drone explosions on packed Russian beaches. Officials say we'll have less on how that impacts people. Also, Trump says this event slash chance. It says calling on officials and witnesses across Iran also tonight. The form are under more pressure. As one of Nigeria's top team members are under investigation. We'll have this for you. More on Infantino too. And we'll be with BBC Look North's Philip Larky. Philip, what's on the programme tonight? Good evening from Look North on programming. Philip, coming up, we'll be talking more. What stricter rules are needed to help for people who work in funeral homes to contact Robert Bosch was sentenced to 20 years behind bars. Also in the programme we have more on the heatwave as July was the driest month on record. Also BBC London was in the programme tonight. We will join Harvey Jackson, Harvey and Piggle was in the programme coming up. We'll have more as July was seen as the driest and hottest month of the year so far. Also we'll have more on how to drive safe when you're an elderly old person. We'll have a weather with Chris Fox. Welcome to the BBC News at 10. I'm Keegan Dobby. Our top headline. It's been confirmed by weather experts, environment officers, chief weather reporters and it's been confirmed by the officers that July was the driest and hottest month on record this year so far, as our temperatures reached 35.5 Celsius down in Surrey, North London. It also saw wildfires break across Europe in France, Spain, Portugal and even Greece. It also says Suffolk, Derbyshire, Durham and London sea wildfires happen across the UK. We'll be speaking to our presenter, Sarah Keith in a minute, but first this report from our environment reporter, Charlotte Edwards, has this story for us. Charlotte. That's this 3-minute report.
becoming a sure sign of summer. Hectares of haze hanging across hundreds of acres of precious countryside. This major incident in South Wales, covering an area the size of over 200 football pitches, the latest to put specialist wildfire teams to the test. As the ground scorches, our overstretched waterways struggle to cope.
There was literally hundreds of fish floating dead in the river. There was lots of tiny fry just kind of trying to breathe. Something like 80% of the rivers across the country have got low flows. So we've got this drought situation, but then a big part of the problem, I think, is the river has no resilience to cope with this anymore.
In this jug is 1 millimetre of water, and that is all the rain that has fallen across several regions of England in July. And you can see the effect on the reservoir behind me here at Ardingly, which the Environment Agency says is now at notably low levels, around 66%, after the driest July ever on record. Those low water levels have led water companies to call on all of us to help preserve stocks, with 11 hosepipe bans in place across England and Wales, from the southwest up to East Anglia, with Suffolk and Essex the latest to bring in restrictions starting today.
Well, what it means is that water's harder to treat because it's warmer, got more algae. It also means that we have to pump more through the system, and we also get more leaks breaking out in this weather. And that's for two reasons. One, the ground moves, and secondly, the pipes expand and they crash into each other and then crack around their joints.
For some, scorched earth means nothing to eat, and that could mean higher prices for our food too.
I've never known farming be harder. You know, we're really pushed for our margins already. Diesel's gone up 30%, fertiliser's gone up 30%, but the costs we're actually getting for our produce have stayed the same. So we're already being pinched. And then you get really dry weather like this, which is choking yields. It's starving our cattle in the fields. It's making it so much harder and adding additional costs.
Nearly every region of England is baking under an amber or yellow heat health alert tonight. In demand at this garden centre, ways to cope with that heat and plants that like it.
In terms of planting, they're really looking for those drought-tolerant plants that will give them really good flower, really good colour, but they don't have to then water quite so much.
For some, summer holiday sunshine still means fun. But for more and more of us, rising temperatures are something to endure, not enjoy. Well, endurance is certainly what NHS staff are having to show. That's according to the Health Secretary, who says A&E staff tell her they're facing levels of pressure normally felt at the peak of the winter months. And she's asking people to keep a check on their vulnerable friends and family as these hot temperatures continue. And although for many of us today is bringing the hottest temperatures of the week, with some cooler conditions to come, overall August is looking very hot, dry with above average temperatures and very little meaningful rainfall, which means that parks, farms and fields are going to stay looking yellow and dry, just like this, for many weeks to come yet.
OK, Lorna Shaddock in East Sussex there. Thank you. Well, Alex is in North London to tell us more about those weather records, and not, frankly, Alex, the sort of records that we really want, are they?
Absolutely, Mary. Good evening to you. Yes, it certainly has been a record-breaking July, and even as we start August, actually just a few moments ago, the Met Office revealed that today we got to 33.5 degrees Celsius. That was at Wisley in Surrey. That makes it now 20 days of temperatures of at least 32 degrees Celsius in the UK this year. That beats the record, which was previously set 19 days back in 1995. But let's take a look at some of those July stats for you right now. And we will start off with the amount of dry weather we've had through the course of July. For England and Wales, it's been the driest on record, hottest for southern England on record. That probably won't come as a surprise at all. And if we take a look at rainfall, as we know, it has been extremely dry, and we're really feeling the impacts of this. So for England, just 6.5 millimetres of rain. That's just 10% of the July average rainfall. For Wales, despite it being 8.9 millimetres, that's just 9% of the July average rainfall that we would expect. And as Lorna hinted to just a short time ago, it looks as though the weather conditions will be staying settled through much of August. There will be some rain, but not enough rain.
And now, more on the devastation caused by the heat and drought in southern areas of England. Firefighters are tonight warning that a big wildfire which consumed a large area of heathland in Suffolk is, in their words, far from over. A major incident is still underway in the area around the coastal community of Dunwich, as Verity Wishart reports.
5 days on, firefighters continue to tackle a blaze which has savaged this stretch of the Suffolk countryside. A major incident is still underway after a fire ignited on the heathland near Dunwich on Wednesday evening. 100 firefighters were deployed and continue to work to control the fire, whilst temperatures underground remain over 600 degrees.
So it's difficult for firefighters and tricky work for them to get to those and get over the burnt land to be able to extinguish those fully. So it takes time. We're now into the long game of planning for the next 7 days. We'll certainly have resources here from our national colleagues till the end of Wednesday. It's not safe for walkers to come on the moor at the moment, so please do stay away until it's safe to come back.
Well, you can just see the scale of the damage here. As far as the eye can see, just fields and fields of black, burnt heathland. And what is remarkable is just how close this wildfire got to people's doorsteps. You can see these cottages behind me here. So an inferno would have been blazing right on their doorstep. Up to 150 residents and holidaymakers were forced to leave the area. Pauline was one of those and won't be able to return to her home until at least Friday.
Records have tumbled during a summer of extreme weather, which has seen many heat waves, and the whole of Wales and half of England placed in drought measures. And heat health alerts are currently in place. Well, England and Wales had their driest July on records dating back to 1836, according to provisional figures from the Met Office today. Records have tumbled during a summer of extreme weather, which has seen many heat waves, and the whole of Wales and half of England placed in drought measures. And heat health alerts are currently in place in some parts of the UK. Our weather presenter Elizabeth Rizzini joins me to explain. Tell us more.
Hello, thank you, Jane. Well, I'm here in Greenwich Park. You can see just how dry and parched the grass is behind me. There's been not a drop of measurable rainfall here in Greenwich throughout July. And July was a truly exceptional month across the UK in terms of sunshine amounts, lack of rainfall, and of course temperature too. So for southern England, it's not just been the warmest July on record, it's also been the driest calendar month ever recorded. Now, we have these amber heat health alerts in place, not just here across the southeast of England, but also for eastern England and for the East Midlands. They're in place until Wednesday morning. Warning of the risks posed by the heat to vulnerable people. And we saw 33 degrees Celsius in London today. It's another warm night tonight. It's still going to be humid with temperatures in the low 30s for some tomorrow, and then it will gradually cool off by the time we get to the end of the week. Now, it's worth noting that July was the 6th consecutive month when we've seen above average temperatures. It's all a sign of our warming climate. Jane.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth Rizzini. Thank you. President Trump says the blockade of Iran will continue unless a deal is made or the country...
If you're going to be fun to see war in Iran will war now. Let's have a quick word about the weather with our weather presenter Sarah Kivy, because Sarah just been on. So tomorrow, as you can see here, across the UK, July was the hottest and driest month on record since 1836, 199 years ago. Temperatures were hitting mid-30s, 35.5. Wildfires were breaking up and down Europe, in Portugal, Spain, France, Greece, Turkey, and even the UK, Suffolk, Derbyshire. London saw record wildfires. People injured, dead, evacuated, firefighters going out there. But there's not been much rainfall. Fifty Chef at 6.6% of July was rainfall. 6.6 and 9.9% were rainfall for this month. They also saw Wales placing drought with farmers struggling with food growth crops. It was quite a typical month. Fortunately, we are under a fifth heat wave with health yellow warnings in place for much of the week for much of northern, South England, Wales, Scotland, and Europe too. Okay, so keep it so. Next, fear around war has took a turn as Donald Trump, the US President Donald Trump, says he's nowhere near able to agree a deal or an agreement to end the conflict in the Middle East. We're speaking to our US correspondent Gary O'Connor in just a second with an update.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth Rizzini. Thank you. President Trump says the blockade of Iran will continue unless a deal is made or the country totally surrenders, as he put it. He also accused the Iranian leadership of being unbelievably duplicitous after further confusion about the state of negotiations between the two countries. Our security correspondent Frank Gardner is with me. I mean, are things any further forward, Frank?
No, I don't think they are. I mean, look, it all depends on who you want to listen to, or who you want to believe, rather. So President Trump says Iran is practically begging for talks. Iran says, no, we're not in talks at all. What they are discussing, the Iranians, is with Oman about a possible new route through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this is not certain that this is what everybody wants. It'll probably suit the Iranians more than the Gulf Arab states. But the reason why, I think, to my mind, the real reason why President Trump called off this huge, great, big assault, this attack on Iran that he was hoping would finally push them to come to the negotiating table and accept America's terms, it's two reasons. One is that they are running out of intercept missiles, and the other is that the Gulf Arab states, notably Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE, have all said to the United States, hold on here, if you attack Iran, they attack us, and we're running out of missiles as well. So we'd really rather you didn't.
Frank, for now, thank you very much. Frank Gardner. Drivers have stolen an average of nearly £200,000 worth of fuel from UK forecourts every day since the US-Iran war began and prices rocketed. That's according to new analysis from the company Forecourt Eye, which says incidents of petrol and diesel being taken without payment have risen by 20% since the end of February. Phil Mackey has the story.
It's an expensive business filling up at the moment, and not everyone's paying. Look what happens here. The driver of the van stays in his seat as the passenger gets out and fills up a hidden jerry can in the back. Then he jumps back in as the driver heads off with the door still open.
Last week a guy tricked us. He looked like a farmer. He filled up a can, £142, and he left.
The owner is exasperated. Last year was bad, but since the Iran war began in February and prices shot up, it's got worse.
It's almost every day.
And how much is that costing you?
The last financial year, it was around £40,000. I expect it to be more this year because the price of fuel has increased by at least 1/3 compared to last year. Nothing seems to happen to them. That's where the...
Want to end your tiring...
walked back from his threats of a huge military assault against. Now, not for the first time, Donald Trump has walked back from his threat. Day, on average, since the start of the Iran war. That is according to the fuel theft prevention company Forecourt Eye, which says incidents of fuel being taken without payment have risen by a fifth since the end of February. And the journalist and broadcaster Rod Little has died at the age of 66. He was editor of BBC Radio 4's Today programme before becoming columnist for The Sun, The Spectator and The Sunday Times. He died in hospital in Middlesbrough last night after a short illness. And not for the first time, Donald... Trump has walked back from his threats of a huge military assault against Iran to allow, he says, more time for talks. Well, Robert Moore is in Washington. Now, Robert, the president has actually been speaking, hasn't he, while we've been on air. Is there any kind of evidence that his particular brand of diplomatic brinkmanship, shall we call it, is actually having any positive effect with Tehran?
There's no sign whatsoever of this elusive deal being secured. I mean, what is clear, though, is Donald Trump is increasingly furious and exasperated with the Iranians. He posted a short time ago on his Truth Social platform that in his view, Iran's leaders are unbelievably duplicitous. Now, remember, at the end of last week, Donald Trump himself was talking about launching another wave of massive attacks on Iran. Then he changed his mind, apparently overnight. And in the last few minutes, as you say, he's been speaking and said these comments.
So I say, wait, we're in talks. Big deal. We're in talks. And they'll sometimes deny it, even though they spend hours and hours together talking. No, the talks are going along. We're going to hit them very hard yesterday, very, very hard, harder than any attack. I think I can say, General, from a point of knowledge, any attack since World War II. That's pretty big.
The problem for the White House is that the Iranians appear to be entirely unintimidated by these constantly recycled threats of attacks. And the big question remains, who controls and who will control the Strait of Hormuz at the end of this? And the ever-present fact is that this war is in danger of expanding. The Houthis in Yemen and other Iranian-backed militias are entering the fray. Gulf states are worried they can no longer protect their critical energy infrastructure. So 156 days into this war, Mary, and that elusive deal that Donald Trump constantly refers to, that remains out of sight.
Okay, more in Washington. Thank you. Well, back here, well, we're coping as best we can with soaring temperatures and drought. The hot weather has revealed some unexpected and long-lost treasures. The stately home of Chatsworth House in Derbyshire is both a huge tourist attraction.
The problem is, there are at least 30 CCTV cameras at this petrol station alone. So the problem isn't filming the culprit.
Take a step back from has pulled out.
This year.
Phil, thank you, Phil Mackey there. Ariana Grande, one of the most high-profile artists of her generation, has pulled out of starring in a musical which was due to open in London next year. A representative for the American singer told People magazine that she's going to take a step back from visibility when her current tour ends, after her appearances led to relentless public scrutiny. Here's David Sillito.
Ariana Grande's latest album, Petal, has just been released. The music, she said, was written from a place of unfiltered rage. Rage about the pressures and judgment of the media, fans, and the entertainment industry.
You know, it's like, what do you got? Is you got some personality disorder going on? Is that the thing? We miss the old you.
And now, just as she's about to complete her current tour with 10 dates in London, it's been announced that she will, after those performances, step back from visibility. the endless public scrutiny.
What's really important about this story is that she's always communicated with her fans on social media, and that's been a really big part of the appeal. So for her to take this step back, it must be really significant what's going on in the background.
And one recurring part of that endless public scrutiny has been her appearance. The comments about how it has changed and her weight led to her releasing this on TikTok 3 years ago.
I just wanted to address your concerns about my body and talk a little bit about what it means to be a person with a body and to be seen and to be paid such close attention to.
But her appearance in her new video has only supercharged that online commentary once again.
If anybody loses weight, gains weight, changes their hair color, anything, there's so much just emphasis on what women look like. And it's sad, you know, as we get more progressive in this world and we go on and on, it's just one thing does not change. So good for her. She wants to take time away from all this.
Your logic is flawless.
And with a TV career that began in her early teens, she's been in the public eye for nearly 20 years. This decision to step back means she now won't be appearing in a planned Sondheim musical in London next year. And she has over the years spoken many times about her mental health and her struggles. This, a moment for a time out in the global spotlight. David Silito, BBC News.
Hang on.
The newspaper columnist and broadcaster Rod Liddle has died at the age of 66 after a short...
It's already been very wet, where it's needed most of all in the southeast. It may be generally dry once again. We've got some wet weather around overnight. As you can see here, it's...
Look, we've been told to evacuate. I'll keep you...
So how could Infantino... Things are happening. They are trying to come up with a scheme for...
Much support is now suddenly seeing it fade away. Andy Swiss, BBC News.
It's difficult to glean tonight exactly where negotiations are on trying to calm the situation in the Middle East between America and Iran. Donald Trump says talks are ongoing right now, and Iran faces decapitation unless it agrees to a deal. But that kind of rhetoric seemingly, however, has once again left the Iranians unmoved, with a foreign ministry spokesman insisting there are no talks currently underway. Well, Frank Gardner's here. Can you make any sense of all of this?
I think what we have to do, Clive, is to focus on what we do know is happening, and that's the talks between Iran and its neighbour, Oman. Those are happening. They are trying to come up with a scheme for the way that ships will pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Look, there was nothing wrong with the existing scheme, but Iran is saying, look, we got attacked, you threw your everything at us, we survived, and now we are going to control the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is absolutely opposed to that. He's really facing only two choices. Escalate this war, which is dangerous because Iran will hit back at countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and also the US is running out of intercepted missiles, or capitulate and give in to some kind of a deal that Iran accepts and that Donald Trump is not going to like at all. So he's got himself into a bit of a quicksand here, and he's looking for ways out. And to answer your question, can I see which way this is going? No. Can you?
Question. All right, Frank, thank you. Frank Gardner, our security correspondent there. Now, France has hit back at Reform UK's plans to use military personnel to forcibly return...
So just a couple of stories to bring you tonight. The driver called 999 pretending he lost control of his own vehicle. Was the aftermath of deadly waves of Russian attacks on Ukraine. Russia dropped 8 bombs on the southern Ukrainian city, killing 1 person and injuring 21 others. What a story. Thousands of migrants remain in Spain city after deadly bomb rush. The vampire given hospital orders after putting animals' body parts in a church, where they found in search for a 19-year-old. Mr. Henry's family said he was keen sportsman. He played going, travelling and starting university. Was the first attacked waiting for two trailblazing Oscar-winning actor and singer. An 9-year-old girl dies after being found injured at Aberystwyth Industry. As the man was arrested, police were called to Elliott Industry. During the early hours of Monday, the schoolgirl was taken to New Wells Hospital in Dundee, where she later died. And I could say, England and Wales see drought. July on record. Take a share. Tablet, please.
Hey.
Tablet, please.
Yeah, and I'll give you the tablet as well.
So back to the issues. Let's go to Washington and speak to Gary O'Connor. Gary, so we've been hearing today that Donald Trump is yet to make a proper deal on the situation with status. Oh, very good evening. And it might there has been no confirmation of any deal between Iran's Prime Minister and Donald Trump tonight. They can't agree on a peace-file, and the war in Iran continues to have an impact on people across the UK's petrol prices have gone skyrocket for the first time in quite a few months this year. We'll keep talking on phones.
I've got about 32% to put it on charge as much as I can.
Great.
We haven't been here that long, have we? Been out all day. Tapping it on till we've got you.
I was really going last time.
Should last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I hope so. We've been talking on phones, we've been trying to communicate, but as we know, there's no sort of deal quite yet, unfortunately, between the President and Iran's Prime Minister. And you can understand frustration because the war in Iran has gone on for almost a year and a half now. People across Iran are frustrated, they're still getting attacked, they're just sick of awful situations across the capital. Alright guys, no thank you. As Gary said there, the main issue has been that petrol prices have increased and skyrocketed for the first time in months. Like it just said, we've got a special 2.5 minute report. As reporter Simon Smith spoke to an owner of a petrol station in Derbyshire. Simon has this story.
I don't mind buffets, I love salad.
You have a, you have a different life to all of us lot. You go and get fish and chips. Oh, come on, just let us go to a pizza walk before the wall goes. What if you were going to do that dumping me while we go? We just have to tell him he has to go to Harvester. Harvester? Yeah, tell him to go to Harvester. Yeah, he should go to Harvester. What? Charles, seriously? Yeah, tell him to go to Harvester. Well, it's still to come tonight. It is 10:41. Our top headline tonight. To confirm that July was the hottest and driest month of the year. By from my office, consumptive temperatures hit 35.5 degrees, and also wildfires broke out across Europe. In France, Portugal, Spain, Greece, Turkey, and wildfires up and down the country in Suffolk, Derbyshire, and even North London. Still to come on the news at 10. Infantino's plans were scrapped for the FA. England, Welsh, and English boards come out and speak, as Infantino is under extreme pressure. Also, Anna Grande is set to step back from music after her Titans, and just days after her 8th album came out. We'll be with Phil on Philip North News. Phil. Yes, tonight we'll have more on more structural rules for funeral homes around the country after Robert Bush had been jailed for 22 years. Also, BBC London with Harvey Jackson, Harvey and Peggy tonight on the programme. We talk more about droughts across the UK. July saw the soaring temperatures. We're speaking to a weather chief expert, and we'll have figures and stats. Next, VFA and Infantino. Next, if the president is under institutional pressure tonight. It's in September for Infantino. I'll just read this for you. Pressure is mounting on Gino Infantino for the room grow. There's one in the living room. I can't see it. What? I can't see it. Following a group backlash over controversial investors' proposals and financial opposition from figures like Andy Burnham and the UEFA leadership, questions are being asked about the future of the FIFA president. Let's take a listen to this.
Draw support for Gianni Infantino's re-election. That's according to our colleagues at Sky News. It's the latest show of no confidence in the FIFA president following UEFA on Saturday morning, as Infantino's position as the leader of world football hangs by a thread. This is the statement the Welsh FA gave Sky News late last night. Football Association of Wales hereby confirms its withdrawal of support for the candidature of Mr. Gianni Infantino for re-election as FIFA president for the 2027-31 term. The recent failures in good governance, processes, leadership, values, stakeholders management, communications and sound judgment have led us to a position where Mr. Infantino has lost the confidence of the FAW. To remain at the helm of world football, failing to put the best interests of football first is a failure we cannot accept.
This is, we expect, the start of a cascade of letters from across Europe to pile pressure on Infantino to leave office after his botched attempts to sell off stakes in the World Cup to private investors. This crisis is escalating now on Infantino. We've had the loss of confidence in his leadership from UEFA on Saturday. Now the start of a new week is beginning with an attempt to force action from him, because we've still not heard from Gianni Infantino since the European football associations withdrew their support on Saturday. And we also heard from the North American Confederation as well that they didn't back him too at the moment in terms of his leadership. Wales does have a significant role in world football. In February, they were hosting Gianni Infantino for a major meeting. The laws of football are set by the body called the International Football Association Board. It's made up of 8 votes, half are held by FIFA, the other 4 by the home UK associations, including Wales. So that gives Wales a lot of clout in the world, and this is an attempt to start the momentum from within Europe to see that Infantino doesn't stand for re-election, but there's a desire to see him lose office sooner. On Sunday, we discovered that UEFA had threatened Gianni Infantino with legal action over this attempt to sell off shares in the World Cup. They've told him to retain all documentation, and this really is a significant and growing rebellion facing Gianni Infantino, who's been in power for 10 years, but now is on the brink and could well be forced out of office in disgrace. But Wales has become the first football association worldwide to withdraw its support for Gianni Infantino's re-election bid next year in an attempt to pile on the pressure to see him leave office.
So, what would it take to oust Infantino from his position? Firstly, an emergency FIFA Congress can be called by 20% of the 211 member associations. That would be 43 of them, and then a vote of no confidence can be held. All the associations can put forward an alternative candidate ahead of the November the 18th deadline to challenge Infantino for next March's FIFA presidential election.
Where he go? That's the question. Is he gonna go
to resign himself?
Is he gonna resign?
Well, we know support for Infantino is waning, so could this past week prove to be the tipping point for a presidency of considerable controversy? Back in 2022, there were a number of human rights issues raised before the World Cup in Qatar, which led to this incredible news conference from Infantino as he fired back at Western hypocrisy.
Today I feel gay. Today I feel disabled. Today I feel a migrant worker, but I feel like them because I know what it means to be discriminated, to be bullied as a foreigner in a foreign country. As a child at school, I was bullied because I had red hair and I had these red, how do you call them? Freckles. I think for what we Europeans have been doing in the last 3,000 years around the world, we should be apologizing for the next 3,000 years.
2 years later, Saudi Arabia, despite their own human rights issues and environmental record, were awarded the 2034 World Cup. Critics also argued, with the next World Cup being held across 3 continents, that Saudi Arabia had been fast-tracked to hosting the tournament as part of FIFA's rotation policy. Infantino has not shied away from mingling with incredibly powerful world leaders, including Donald Trump. It led to another controversial moment before the World Cup draw at the end of last year. Yes, and that was, of course, him winning the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize, Donald Trump. 2 months later, in February 2026, the United States launched an attack on Iran. Then to the World Cup itself, high ticket prices, hydration breaks, a Somalian referee being refused a visa, and Iran's national team having to move their training base to Mexico were just a few of the controversies. Infantino even told reporters to chill at his antics.
Go on your birthday. Don't tell him that.
I'm sick of Charlie. Why do we have to take you everywhere? There's more than you. Oh yeah, do you want all these fucking three places to close down? Time I get to us, we take you all over. It's always about you.
For a decade, he has been the most powerful man. For a
Pizza's fast food, you idiot.
decade, he has been the most powerful man in world football. But the FIFA president's failed plan to sell shares in the World Cup could be about to cost him his job. The English and Welsh football associations today joined international federations who've told FIFA Gianni Infantino must go.
There is now a groundswell of opinion, certainly within Europe and in Asia and in Central and North America, that Infantino is not the right leader to take us to the next stage of football's governance. Now, of course, his position looks, incredibly precarious. But let's see how the next days go. I think there are a few twists and turns still to come.
If he doesn't resign, members could call a vote of no confidence. Only 43 nations would be needed for that. But the rebelling nations would need the majority of the vote to overthrow Infantino. Or they could stand a candidate against him in the presidential election. There is no official challenger yet, but the Canadian Victor Montagliani is being talked about.
Mr. President, this is your Peace Prize.
From awarding President Trump the now infamous FIFA Peace Prize,
Tolerant Balogun is sent off,
to allowing an American red card to be overturned, creating new in-match hydration breaks and hiked ticket prices, Infantino's influence on the World Cup has been heavily criticised but tolerated. Until last week, and his botched proposal to sell part of the tournament to an investment company reportedly linked to the brother of Trump's son-in-law. Even Infantino cannot ignore accusations he wanted to put profits ahead of football and the fans.
If you look at the finances of FIFA, they've got billions in the bank. I mean, how much money do you want? I mean, I understand the world, money makes the world go round, but certainly looking after fans, looking after players, looking after the competition are more important than hedge funds or private investors.
Just 6 weeks ago, the English FA's chair presented Infantino with his own England shirt. We haven't heard from him today, but he is losing his once close allies. Though the numbers publicly turning their back on Infantino are not enough to topple him yet.
And Ellie is here. Ellie, things seem to be unravelling pretty quickly tonight. Just how much pressure do you think there is on Gianni Infantino, and could it be enough to force him out of the job?
Definitely considerable pressure by anybody's measure, and from very influential federations. 3 of the 4 semi-finalists in this World Cup this summer were European countries, and UEFA has now categorically said that it does not support him. But I don't think we should underestimate the backing that he does have from countries in South America and some African nations as well, some of whom directly benefited from his expansion of the tournament this summer to include more teams. If he resigns, though, and or loses the election in March, that would represent an enormous swing against him. 200 of the 211 World Cup associations had already said that they were going to vote for him in that election for another term. But there is a sense that he went too far with this proposal to sell off shares in the World Cup, and that was a dangerous game to play, and it may not pay off. It seems that although football has been commercialised for increasingly over the last few decades, there are certain lines in the game that you just do not cross.
With YouTube Premium, I can download ad-free videos to watch anywhere,
even without a Wi-Fi connection or the lights on. Which isn't always the wisest move. Try YouTube Premium now for £0.
If you need to try, you can go because I've inhaler if you need to try that.
We might as well trap down in some bloody fish and chip shop.
How do you spell Ana Grande? How do you spell the snack? Ana Grande. How do you spell it? A-R. Yeah. So Ana Grande has withdrawn from a theatre production of Sunday for Pride with George next year, and she's to take a break from singing all together after just days after her 8th new album came out, and she's set to take a break after her UK tour ends later this summer.
Ariana Grande says she's taking a break from public life, but she's far from the first star to decide fame has become addicted to her. In an industry obsessed with appearance, even by celebrity standards, Ariana Grande has spent years dealing with an unusually intense fixation on her weight. Now, it seems that she's had enough. She said that she'll step back from the spotlight after finishing her Eternal Sunshine tour next month, and she's also pulled out of her planned West End debut, a revival of Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George, where she had been due to star alongside her Wicked co-star Jonathan Bates. Her team says the reason is simple: endless public scrutiny. As dramatic as that sounds, it isn't the first time a superstar has decided that they need a break. Justin Bieber stepped away from touring, Ed Sheeran took a year-long hiatus from the spotlight, Adele announced an extended break from music altogether. What's interesting about Ariana is the context. Her relationship with Britain has been a complicated one. The Manchester Arena bombing in 2017 was one of the darkest moments of her life and career, but it also cemented a deep bond with British fans after she returned to headline the One Love Manchester benefit concert. So there was genuine excitement about this next chapter. Britain wasn't just getting Ariana, the pop star, filling arenas, it was getting Ariana, the actress, making her West End debut. Instead, she's walking away. And really, that's the bigger story. Because this says something about how fame has changed. The tabloid scrutiny of old has been replaced by a 24-hour jury, and its crowd that never stops talking. With debate about Ariana's appearance often drowning out discussion about her music, it's perhaps no surprise that she's had enough, which is the paradox of modern fame. We've never spoken more about kindness, well-being and mental health, yet we've never had more ways to judge, dissect,
When that goes, you'll never get a good chance again. You have to take chances before they actually go.
Did you realise there's a lot of them, not all of them are going to shot on one side, they're all going to shot at once.
No, because I can just go to the one in Doncaster. You enjoy your crappy McDonald's that you all eat.
We haven't gone for Mum's.
Yeah, because they're crap.
That's why we haven't gone, because
my mum only loves the pizza for down here.
It's pizza. Oh, what's happened?
Dad had the chance, he could own his own fish and chip shop. We get 70% off.
So that's a bit far, isn't it?
Well, this time I'm creative.
A lot of people, you're not the only one. So a lot of people create stuff. You're probably in for the longest of YouTubers that create stuff.
Right, but
we're doing it a bit late to talk about pizza because it's 11 o'clock. So I'm coming now.
they're just shut down then. I just know they're gonna. Yeah, but you don't even know. They'll say that it's open, and then when you get to it, it's closed. It's closed down completely.
Oh, Doncaster's open, child.
Well, the Castleford one's gone.
You've got one. Well, I'm coming in now if you are.
But I promised to go to the one in Peach, what in Doncaster then?
No, right, can we not talk about finance? We talk about we've got 2 days in the place on Friday. Can we not talk about Pizza Hut?
Can I go on Friday? Can you just shut up? Go to bed.
We'll discuss it, but not now because we've got to go to bed. Smart on Anna Gonna take a move. She's created some good songs like a track with Seb called Break Free, One Last Time. So our entertainment reporter, Jason McCormick, looks back at her life, looks back at her career. This is a 3-minute report.
songwriter and actress Ariana Grande may only be in her early 30s, but already so much of her life has been lived in a very public spotlight. Besides her music and films, there has been much speculative talk about her health. Now, she's planning to take a break from what her team call the endless ongoing public scrutiny.
In a music video released just 3 days ago, Ariana Grande drew attention to the kind of criticism she faces in real life.
What's the word? Unattractive. Inauthentic. That's the way you used to be. I miss that.
Comments like that have led the 3-time Grammy winner, who's currently on tour, to remove herself from the spotlight. A representative said Ariana will be taking a step back from visibility after she completes the Eternal Sunshine Tour. She looks forward to finishing the tour and ending it on a high note, both healthily and happily, and then taking a much-deserved break from public-facing work and appearances, which has led to endless ongoing public scrutiny. She found fame as a teenager on Nickelodeon, then launching a singing career that's garnered tens of billions of streams and millions of fans. Fans with whom she built an unbreakable bond in the aftermath of the Manchester Arena terror attack in 2017. But in recent years, media and online attention has often focused on her health and appearance, something she addressed in 2023.
The body that you've been comparing my current body to was the unhealthiest version of my body. I was on a lot of antidepressants.
The following year, Grande acknowledged the challenges of her stardom.
I've heard every version of it, of what's wrong with me, and then you fix it, and then it's wrong for different reasons. There's a comfortability that people have commenting on that I think is really dangerous.
Experts believe being a celebrity gets harder every passing year.
Someone like Britney Spears, who I think is the poster child for someone that has been scrutinized. The big difference is we have someone like Ariana having to deal with this huge choir of fans and trolls and other people online.
Ariana's pulled out of the 2027 London musical she was due to star in alongside Jonathan Bailey. Her break starts when her tour ends in the capital next month. Poppy's got tickets and is encouraging others to make small signs showing support.
It will be held up, hopefully for her to see, so she can know that we're all here, we all back you, we all love you, and even if you go for 50 years, you go for 10 years, you don't go, oh, we're always going to still be here.
Grande hasn't said how long she'll be away, but she has a movie coming out in November. It remains to be seen if she'll return to promote the project. Rishi Davda, News at 10.
The high-profile and at times controversial columnist Rod Liddell has died at the age of 66. He wrote weekly for The Spectator magazine and also for the Sun and Sunday Times newspapers. His last article was published there in June. A former boss of the Today programme on Radio 4, he was remembered as an utterly brilliant editor by ex-presenter John Humphreys. Rod Liddell died in hospital after a short illness on Saturday. Finally, if you've ever moved house and silently cursed the previous owner's design choices, spare a thought for the 3rd Duke of Devonshire. Back in the 18th century, he unceremoniously...
Our last film tonight is from UK. The from UK leader had designed Operation a proposal to deploy the Royal Navy in the English Channel to intercept small boats and return migrants to France of Belgium. Leader notified the party could stop the crossing in a fortnight, while Reform Homes after spokesman Ian Youssef described it as the largest migration operation in the Channel since the Second World War. The France Minister has criticised the proposal, saying it would violent maritime law and international law. We'll be speaking to a political editor, Henry Sussman, in a minute. Henry is in studio. Henry will be with you in a minute to discuss it.
If the Elysee Palace refuses, make no mistake, His Majesty's Royal Marines will disembark them safely on the very shore they left that morning.
I've just come straight from the room where Reform announced plans for the Royal Navy to intercept small boats in the Channel and return migrants straight back to France. Nigel Farage insists his plan, named Operation Fortress, is legal and would amount to a rescue operation rather than endangering lives at sea, one of the key criticisms of the policy so far.
Operation Fortress will be a combined military operation. It will save lives, it will help the French in fulfilling their job of stopping the boats, and it will save a huge amount of money. We are entirely confident that that falls within other conventions of international law. What is the Royal Navy for? If the Royal Navy is not there to protect this country from invasion, then frankly, I can't see what its purpose is.
But what's striking about the announcement is the number of unanswered questions that still loom. Reform may be confident that they can send boats back to France, but that would require the agreement of the French government, which has already hit back, saying these plans would amount to a violation of their sovereignty. There's also the question of why Reform is announcing this policy now, when the number of small boat crossings is actually down on last year. It also comes just hours after Rupert Lowe, a former colleague and rival, suggested a pact with Nigel Farage, something he didn't entirely discount, perhaps acknowledging that Restore Britain has the ability to eat into his voter base, if it hasn't already.
If you look at my history, in politics over the last few years, I am prepared to do things that make sacrifices if I believe it's in the national interest. I certainly did that in 2019. And I would do whatever I could for us to have a sane centre-right alliance that beat Labour at the next general election.
With Labour enjoying a burn and bounce in the polls and Reform facing yet more questions over donations, we have seen a little less of Farage recently. But now he is back with a bold idea. This latest policy may be daring, but it also points to a party retreating to its comfort zone, one Nigel Farage knows plays well with his base.
We will launch Operation Fortress, the biggest. But I think actually to know what the country will get behind the message that we have a Royal Navy. It's there to protect this country from invasion, and that now is what it should be used for. In terms of, questions about money could go on for years, look, I had no intention of returning to politics or a leader of Reform, but in the spring of that year, I did talk to Richard Tice about what the liabilities would be if I was to come back to that position. And you'd be a bit of a mug, wouldn't you, to walk into a job and not find out what the potential liabilities were. And they were substantial. But without Richard, the party wouldn't have even survived. So that was useful for me to know, but it wasn't a deal, it wasn't an agreement. It was subject to if I came back. And if you want clarification on this, that came quite some time after the gift, which is perhaps the important point. Thank you. Olivia Utley, GB News.
You say it's simply return migrants back to French beaches, even if the French disagree with the plan. Obviously, this all works a lot better if the French do agree with the plan. Have you had any assurances from senior French politicians that they're on board with this?
Can I just say, for the French, there are big upsides. Very big upsides. Life from Dunkirk, through Calais, through Ardelot, Wimereux, all those rather beautiful little villages on Côte d'Opale, life is now hell. People stay locked in their houses. You can't resell a house. There's crime, there's litter, there's vandalism, there's gang violence, there are stabbings, there are shootings. I mean, dealing with this problem would be a great, great relief to the people of northern France. So that's the first thing I would say. There is a big upside for the French in this. Have we had talks with some senior French political figures about this? Yes. And I think attitudes are starting to change. Attitudes towards this are starting to change.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and they're also beginning to realise that we have given them a lot of money, and this would in fact be helping them with their objectives. So are we there yet? Can I guarantee you that they'll welcome this with open arms? I can't. But can I say there is a softening of attitude towards this position? Yes. And of course, we have some very major French elections coming up next year. Can I add to that?
Well, look, as Nigel said, as you'll see in this document, we envisage two positions from the French. One in which they consent, which is vastly preferable, and that will be our primary objective. However, if they choose not to consent, we have a plan for that too.
All right. Thank you. Carl Dennon, ITV.
Thanks very much. Over here. Just to be clear, so you seem to be saying that if the French do not consent to accepting these people back, you are going to order the Royal Marines to land on French beaches against the will of the French to offload these people. Is that legal? And secondly, you seem to have just admitted that you were considering returning as Reform leader in the spring of 2024. Can you be absolutely clear and honest? When did you start thinking about returning to Parliament and becoming the leader of the Reform Party?
I was being bullied for months and months and months by lots and lots of people. You got to come back, you got to come back, you got to come back. I said no. But I mean, to be honest with you, I was probably 60-40 in favour of going to America because there was an exciting 6 months coming up over there. So all of this was provisional. None of us ever quite know what we're going to do next in life. And look, you know, when Rishi called the election, I just thought, well, the hell with it, I'm not going to do it, and that's that. And then yet more guilt was piled upon me, and I reluctantly at the last minute changed my mind. But no, there was no plan to come back at all. There were lots of people asking me to, all right? Simple as that. Sorry, the first part of your question specifically.
What's the legality of sending them to land on French beaches?
Saving lives at sea. Saving lives at sea under international law when people are in, and these big mega dinghies, you saw one last week with 165 on, 90 to 100 is now common. If you've ever seen one of them, and I've seen many of them, they're built for one trip. They've got balsa wood glued in the bottom. It is astonishing that we've not had a mass casualty event for some time. And indeed, the last big one.
I'm coming. Let's quickly have a word with our political correspondent, Henry Sesman. Henry, good evening. Tesma. Shouldn't we understand that the Reform UK Party notified has agreed about the migrants crossing the Channel on Friday, which Spanish people were landing and having a massive impact. Like I said, it's talked about saying the party could stop the question in the fortnight while Reform Home Affairs spokesman said described it as the largest military operation infiltrating civil war. So there's a lot of disagreements about this issue. Okay, moving on, thank you. That was Henry's assessment of political questions. Right, that is it from us on for 18. Right, I'm back with the news at 6 tomorrow night at 6:15. Both from us and the whole team. Have a great evening, take care, have a good night, bye bye. Bye bye.